from the nation's heartland. It's Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Our feature Friday guest is Johnnie Calloway. Just find him on YouTube. Just Google YouTube Johnnie Calloway, and that's Johnnnie Calloway, and you will find his YouTube page. He's got tens of thousands of subscribers on there, and he's a Kansas Citian. He's been a longtime listener of this show. We connected as just a caller years ago, and now he's also working with Americans for Prosperity in Missouri as a grassroots engagement director. So let's talk about that, Johnny. Just the last election, we saw really a lot of urban areas move to the right. Now, there's still a long ways to go, but what do you attribute that to?
Foundation principles. Like hip-hop culture has always been counterculture, if you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, NWA had F the Police.
Yep.
So when you look at how Hollywood and every major artist is 100% aligned with the mainstream, well, that right there would tell you something doesn't correlate. You know, Kodak Black, about 6 months ago, dropped a song with Donald Trump ad-libs that no one heard of. There should be a number one song going crazy in the hood right now, but when you can suppress algorithms, then you can control what people know. But Trump has always been extremely popular. I think by year 3, he'll be mainstream popular. It's going to be hard to keep it hidden from the masses.
Now, do you think that'll be more amongst black men than it is black women? Because we've seen a shift amongst black men to the right, but women haven't really moved.
I think they'll move if they can find a man they want.
Oh, so you're saying basically if they're married, it will make a difference?
If they marry or they see a man that could potentially be a good husband, then they're going to pitch their views to match his.
So take me through that. I mean, in let's use urban Kansas City, for example. Are the married couples, even if they don't vote Republican, are they more conservative in nature? And is that a potential way for the party in particular to gain more of a foothold in these communities?
I think marriage in itself is a conservative institution.
Yeah.
Christ over man, man over woman, woman over children. See, everything that God does, it's perfect. And it has an order and it has a process. And if you go with that order, then you reap the benefits of it. And if you go against that order, which we've been seeing going on in the inner city since the 60s, look what you get. As you sow, so you reap. So
why is it then that there's just this institution of still voting for a party that is not really representative of those values?
The boogeyman. You know, you're scared. You better not be a Republican. You better not talk to them conservatives. You know, they tell you don't talk to conservatives, but who in the inner city is conservative? Everything has been run by Cleaver and Lucas. I was born in 89. Kansas City's been run by Democrats since 91. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Mm-hmm. And a different blackface doesn't give you a different result. It's still a blackface, give you democratic policies.
Mm-hmm. So what about you? I mean, you told me a story once about how, your daughter plays basketball, right? Or, you've got 8 kids, so I'm sure.
They all hoop and play soccer a little bit.
But one story stood out where you walked in and she plays with mostly white kids and you had a MAGA hat on. Mm-hmm. And the white parents all did double takes and totally disagree with your politics.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, so what's that like?
When you live in your phone, which most people do, so you live in a false reality, an algorithm, it shocks you when you see someone with a different perspective, a different reality. And the way our brain works is you have to hear something or see something 6 times before you try to accept it as possible. So you could imagine the overload of a young black man walking around in a Make America Great hat again. But I think people need to be comfortable with different perspective, with different ideas. For too long, we've been not allowed to have open dialogue. And I want to know who my enemy is. Mm-hmm. I don't want you to pretend you like me so you can stab me in the back when the minute I turn around. And that's the system that we've been operating in. And men have been emasculated where they can't say what they really feel. And I'm really big on the First Amendment. And I think if more men spoke their truth, then the world becomes a better place. Mm. But male suicide is through the roof. And it's because too many men are letting themselves be suppressed. And the more we open up, the more we speak, the more we save society.
How about when you walk around with a MAGA hat in, like, the grocery store in the urban core? How does that go?
Oh, nobody cares.
No one cares?
I get a bunch of thumbs up. I get a nice hat. I wore it on a plane, and I sat in the very front row on Delta, and the flight attendant was like, nice hat, asked to take a picture with me. I think this concept of what you can't do, it's fear, false evidence appearing real. And I look at myself as, like a Shawn Michaels. You know, I'm the rebel, the heartbreak kid.
So you've never gotten a hard time walking into a urban Kansas City grocery store with a MAGA hat on. No one's ever given you a hard time.
Not once.
See, but that's not what social media would tell you.
I know. And the thing is, I put my videos on social media, but they don't go as far. But I make videos walking through the airport with a MAGA hat on and all that. But if you got to see it, then it becomes trendy. And that's how world work. I mean, if we're being honest, the reason most people join a Black Lives Matter or any of these groups is because it takes a lot of confidence to stand on your own and say all of y'all are wrong. But Romans 8:31, if God is for us, who could be against us? So when you fill with the Spirit, then you're willing to stand 10 toes down and say, I ain't with all that. And I think if we can get more people to be confident in themselves, then society naturally shifts you to be conservative. But society takes advantage of broken people. It wants you sad with anxiety, depression, not believing in yourself, not loving yourself, and feel like the world is over. And the future is bright. We got the greatest technology we've ever had. You know, if there's ever a reason to be excited about the future, is now.
Yeah, I got about a minute here, Johnny, but you were supposed to go to the White House this week. The weather prevented that from happening, but you're going to the White House next week with a bunch of fellow Black conservative influencers. And what are you going to say to President Trump if you meet him?
I hope I can get a picture with him. I haven't even thought what I would say to him if I get to meet him. That's something I need to ponder over for the next few days.
You got a few days to figure it out, man. Hey, you know what you should tell him? Tell him he's got to join this radio show in Kansas City Monday in the morning, and we'd love to have him. Can you tell him that for me?
For Pete, I got you, dog.
Hey, man, will you have photos up on your Instagram page?
Hey, I'm taking as many pictures as possible, many as possible, just because of the opportunity to get to go to the White House to meet the president. I mean, I grew up in the City and Mission homeless shelter, and I'm going to the White House. If that ain't the American dream, I don't know what is.
And you're the first one in your family who's ever going to step foot in that White House.
Yes, and not one member of my family is upset about my politics. My mama, rest in peace, mama, not you. My daddy, my aunties, my brother, everyone is okay with me supporting Trump. And if you let politics divide your family, you got bigger issues.
I totally agree. Hey, Johnny, it is great to have you here. Johnnie Calloway, now the Grassroots Engagement Director, Americans for Prosperity, Missouri. Find his YouTube channel. Just search for YouTube, Johnnie Calloway, and that's Johnnnie, and it'll be the first one that pops up right now. I guess Trump's helping you out on the platforming part there.
Yeah, the algorithm been killing me over the last 3-4 years, man.
And he's also on Instagram. Follow him there. Search Johnnie Calloway or misunderstood_genius with the E as a 3. Great to have you in, my man. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for the opportunity, man.
You bet. More coming up after the news on KCMO.